Bonaventure began this project by asking the Seneca Nation, I think it was in the 1950s, if they could use Seneca Nation identity and our history and culture in their design. They were using, their emblem was a Western style headdress. And George Heron was on our board, and he was a consultant. And he told us he described the Gustowet, what it should look like. So then, as our museum opened up and we were discussing that's when I did the Gustowet and provided that to St. Bonaventure. And then that happened with the Salamanca Central High School. If you take that away, then we become, who are we then? That then becomes a question. So then are we just citizens of New York State or the United States? You can't ignore our occupation of this territory.
The
United States was drafting our young men for Vietnam, and they were pulling them out of school. They had, if they were under, like in college, less than a C grade or so on, they'd draft them. And so I was talking to my mother about it, and I told her, I said, I don't want to go to this war here. It doesn't, it's not good. And she said, I'd like to remind you that all your uncles, her brothers, they all served in World War II, and they went over to protect our nation. They weren't there protecting the New York State or the United States. They were there in World War II protecting our Seneca people and Haudenosaunee. And we had a lot of people criticizing and protesting us as veterans. Deep inside, I felt, go ahead and say what you want to, because I fought for your right to do that.
I look at that, these people that don't respect our veterans enough, the war attitude that they had. I think Native Americans have that ingrained in them that, they've got to survive. And it's an honor to be a warrior. They gave their life for the honor of being a warrior, but also for the protection. That warrior, right? It means a lot to our community. Maybe we older ones should be educating the younger ones.
I know Carson is very modest, but he's a Vietnam combat warrior. And when he came home, he had a mission. And if we've ever had a mission to do, I think his was to create a depiction of our history. I think it's very important that we understand our identity, who we are, where we're from. And if there's one picture in our history that does that, it's on a gym floor in Salamanca High School. If there are nations and they have a flag and they have warriors and they have a land base, they have a government, they have their own language, they have their own culture, I think that pretty much describes what a nation is. And if we fit into that category, we should be allowed to make decisions regarding our own destiny in the future. And if we're here to teach the next generation what it means to us to be a warrior, we're all going to have different opinions because we all come from different trails. I'm here to say to New York State, at some point we have to draw a line. And if that point is today, let's draw that line today and tell anybody who has any authority or can make any decision please, let us control our own destiny. That's all we're asking.
It's fortunate that I'm on the school board right now. And we've got a lot of questions about what do you think and what should we do. In that situation, you have to think for yourself sometime. And then to myself, I asked, so what are you going to do there? And I said, I'm not changing my position one bit. It's right in the hands of the Seneca Nation right now. And it hasn't changed. It was an overreach by New York State. And we said, we made our decision based on a collective agreement amongst our people.
But I would like these kids to know and to understand the power that they have. That power to be able to change whatever they don't like about this society, about our Seneca Nation government. If there's something that's going on in the community, they're the ones who are going to change it, because they're the ones who are going to inherit all of this that we're leaving for them.
I've heard it said that utilizing the warrior's name would give other people in other districts permission to call us savages, and I respectfully disagree. I feel like anywhere we go as Indigenous players in any sport, our Indigenous players are always going to be known that they come from the res, they come from Salamanca.
We work very hard in this district to instill a sense of pride in being a population that has a large number of Native students here in this school. I can say that it also provides our students a unique opportunity to share who they are, stand proud with one another to be who they are, but also answer questions and educate other people from other communities. First and foremost, that Indigenous people are still here. When they see that logo, they see the gustoet, or they see that headdress that's on top. Traditionally, the gustoet was worn by all men. It does not signify a person as being a chief. That those kinds of headdresses that are pretty sacred would not be just easily or freely showcased in this way. The traditional chief gustoets would have horns in them, and so those are a little more, they're more sacred. And so the gustoets that you see in our logo are more representative of every person or every Seneca, and they're a symbol, really. They're a symbol of the people here.
I don't think other schools should be able to use it because they don't have the full representation that our school does. We lie on a reservation. We are surrounded by culture and everything else that other schools aren't. So schools like that shouldn't be able to use a logo like we do because they don't have that representation. They don't have that spirit to fight, and they don't have that spirit of not being forgotten. All they have to do is look at us and say, yep, they're one of them. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, that's all they do in every sport, girls or guys in sports.
I feel like if you believe that it's a stereotype, it's coming from miseducation, you know?
I think it just means that we're strong and then that we can come up to every challenge.
Fight to the end. You don't like to give up.
It just means someone who doesn't give up.
To me, a warrior represents resilience, it represents strength, and it represents persistence and survival.
Being a warrior, it means strength and resiliency. Having grown up here in our community, being a warrior has always been a mindset, mentality, and above all, it is, like I said, strength. It's that mental strength and resiliency that we have being Onondaga Seneca people.
Yahweh Scano. My name is Mark Buehler. I'm the superintendent of schools for Salamanca City Central School District, where my job is to improve teaching, learning, and relationships throughout the Salamanca community. Recently, the New York State Education Department has passed regulations that ban Native American mascots in the school setting. Our district, along with the Seneca Nation, support this initiative. Salamanca Schools has identified as the Warriors and has used a Native American logo for decades. Over the past several months, our district has worked with our student government to solicit input from our student body by conducting surveys and having open forums. We have also spent time reviewing current research on the use of Native American mascots. Additionally, we have held public forums to gather input from community members and stakeholders. Our district is on the Ohio territory of the Seneca Nation, where we serve a 51% indigenous student population, 38% of which are enrolled Senecas. We have concluded that Salamanca schools are unique and that we are the only U.S. school district that resides on a Native American territory. As such, we believe we have a responsibility to provide an environment that represents our population. Part of that environment is our Native American logo. Our schools enjoy an open and collaborative relationship with the Seneca Nation. Over the past several months, we have had formal and informal meetings to ensure that we are of one mind on the use of our identity and logo. We are honored to recently have received support from the Seneca Nation to continue their use. As a teaching and learning organization, we believe we can educate our students and those outside of our schools on stereotypes that negatively impact our indigenous community. It is our objective to use our logo and identity to educate and contribute to the eradication of stereotypes and misunderstandings that lead to bias and racism. While we cannot undo what has been done, it is the goal of the Salamanca City Central School District to make improvements that will benefit the next 7 generations of Indigenous students. Nyahweh and go Warriors.
O no ne daño